His inventions include flexible ducts for heating and cooling, roller-type hot dog cooker, comfort controls for the first astronauts' spacesuits, plastic mat ice rinks, and roll-out solar collectors. I'm very pleased to have Calvin's son Mark here today to share more about his father.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
On behalf of the MacCracken family, of whom I am joined by my wife Kimberly, my brother Michael MacCracken, and his wife Sandy, it is with great honor that we accept this recognition for my father. I got to work with him for over 22 years, side by side. I enjoyed many meetings at ASHRAE with him. And I can tell you that he would have been thrilled and truly honored by getting this award. He loved this organization. He adored this organization. And I would say that for many reasons, all the great things we do, but it's made up of people that he really liked. Engineers. He was passionate about engineers. Back in 1983, after firing our third Harvard MBA, my father said, "That's it. We're outsourcing our finances and we are now only hiring engineers." So he had an affinity for engineers. And though my father passed away 15 years ago, I can see probably 100 faces out here of people that spent decades working with him on projects for this organization. And each one of them, I am sure, would tell you that he was passionate, very, very positive, and supportive of any creative idea. And of all his loves, his family and friends, his company, his squash, which he was national champion 11 times, or his tennis or whatever, of all those things, innovation was absolutely on top. And I'm going to take 1 minute longer than I was allotted here and tell a story because I personally witnessed him inventing something once, and it really encapsulated how he invented and what he thought about invention. So I'm 16 years old, a hot summer day in New York City, and my father comes home and he says, "You want to go see my new invention?" And I said, "Sure." So we hop in the car and we take about an hour drive to a place called Rye Playland, which is up in Westchester, New York. And so his new invention was this skating rink. And so he had built a half-size model of it. And instead of having pipes underneath the skating rink that created cold and you made the ice on top, he'd come up with an idea where you had the dasher boards and you'd have 20-degree air in ducts in the dasher board with grills in the dasher board, and that cold air would stratify over the entire rink and freeze the ice. So he was setting up a half-size version, and he had rented a Quonset hut. So we got there, and this half-size hockey rink is covered with folding chairs, the entire thing. And on top of those chairs, there were 4 foot by 8 foot by 1 inch thick insulation, making up a false ceiling. And so my father goes over to look at it, and I asked one of the workers, I said, "What's with the insulation?" They said, "This is the only way we could get this stupid idea to work." So my father says, "Off with the insulation." So, they start taking off all this insulation, and the ice just begins to immediately melt, and puddles are developing everywhere, and he grabs this ratty old pair of hockey skates. He was a great sportsman, but he didn't need good equipment. And he just went skating through these chairs that are frozen in the ice, and there's water and there's puddles everywhere. And I look at this and I say, if this is where my college money's coming from, I'm in deep trouble. So he's out there about 10 minutes, and then he finally comes back in and takes the skates off. We get in the car. We have an hour drive, and it is dead silence. There's not a word being spoken between the two of them. And so I finally get up the courage. I say, "Dad, so how do you deal with it when your idea is a failure?" And he said, "Not at all." He goes, "I learned the most important thing about a skating rink probably ever today. And I said, what was that? Well, what I didn't see is he went out to one of the chairs, and there was a thermometer 1 foot above the ice, and just as he had predicted, it was reading 20 degrees, but the ice was melting right before his eyes. So he looked around, and then he looked up. Now, we were in a Quonset hut on a 90-degree day in New York City, and the sun was out. That ceiling must have been 160 degrees, and you could feel the heat radiating down on his face. Okay, now every engineer knows radiation, there's 3 ways heat is transferred, and radiation is one. It's a Stefan-Boltzmann equation. And when he finally looked at it, it turns out that 40% of the heat load on any skating rink is being radiated from the ceiling to the floor, 60-degree ceiling to the floor, and you can't see it, feel it, touch it. And so he came up with an idea of putting a low emissivity ceiling, polished aluminum, up there, and take the radiation, the emissivity from 90% down to 5%. So what I saw as a disaster, he saw as just another step. And it really typified what he felt about invention. It's, you don't know where you are going to go with your idea. You don't know where it's going to take you. But build it, test it, observe, and then discover. Thank you very much.